everybody. Welcome back to Cast 11 and Power of the Mind, brought to you by Granite Mountain Behavioral Healthcare. As always, I've got Madi here. Madi, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm good. We want to talk about everything is beautiful during the holidays. There's pretty lights. People are kind. People hold the door for you and say thank you and Merry Christmas, and everything's beautiful. And it just, I walk into work and I see the Christmas trees up and the lights are going and everybody's just jolly. And then the new year comes, and then it gets really cold and sludgy and yucky, and everybody goes back to normal. And then what happens?
It hits the grief, an overwhelming amount of sadness, especially after you've been going, and then time kind of stops and you're left alone to think about it. And it's after the holidays when the grief hits you. It's when you're alone. Nobody else is around. They're not celebrating anything. And then it hits you.
Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was a young mom, and I would spend the electric bill money to make sure the kids had presents under the tree. And I would figure it out later. Or I'd take a credit card and I would max it out so the kids had, the gifts, because, everybody else has great presents to open. All their friends have. Mm-hmm. And it's always about keeping up with everybody else. So, parents and people are going into debt to make sure that, they've got the best presents under the tree and they're keeping up with everybody else. And then January, those credit card bills start coming in, or you've got late notices on your electric bill, and the things that you put off in December are now catching up with you in January and February. And that's enough to make people sad that are just average people dealing with life. Now couple in people that have trauma experiences that they've dealt with, or alcohol or drug abuse, and it's not just the bills. It's, I got to go see my family during the holidays, and maybe that messed me up more, or now I'm back to normal and I don't see them anymore, or nobody reaches out to me anymore.
It's being alone with the grief too. When all of a sudden you turn around and everybody that was there, like you said, through the holidays isn't, and it's you just on a regular normal
Mm-hmm.
day. And it comes up. One of my favorite things about grief is it's like a wave, right? Like you never know how big that wave is going to be. And sometimes it'll take you under. And that wave can look real small, but sometimes the smallest waves turn out to be the biggest waves, and they just suck you in. And you never really know what you're going to get. And that's like grief, right? Also, it's kind of like cleaning up glitter. That's a great way to say it. Like if you spill glitter, right? Like that glitter is going to be around in 2 weeks. Whether you think you cleaned it all. Yeah. Whether you think you cleaned it all or not, you can go over it over and over again with that vacuum. But you're going to find a piece of glitter in the corner.
And it also gets on other people.
Absolutely.
And so the people around you start feeling your grief and feeling that tug and feeling that pull. And I would imagine people would either stay and try to help you, or maybe start distancing themselves from you because it's too much.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes people don't know what to do or know how to handle it. They're so accustomed with just taking care of them. People are in tunnel vision now, and just, I got to do X, Y, and Z today. Sometimes people don't stop and pause and think about that someone that just lost a loved one, or think about how much that would affect their best friend by losing somebody. It's terrible. And it's like that wave. It just sucks you in.
When you see people and you see them put on that facade, you see them in, at work, and they seem fine. I know they just went through something pretty traumatic, but they seem fine. Or, and it's, for so many of us, it's like, it's just better left unsaid. Mm-hmm. They look fine. I don't want to bring it up. So what are some things that we can do if we are, one, going through, we're under that wave, or two, we just need, should we be checking on our friends? Should we be reaching out to people?
Absolutely. It takes a village. We need our tribe.
Because my thing was always like, and you and I have talked, off air about, people that I know that are struggling, and should I say something, or is it better to just, is their pride going to be bothered because I asked them about it? And what did you say?
I said, ask them. Definitely ask. It's never going to hurt, and when people know that you're thinking of them, it helps.
That might just be the reason why they're going to make it.
Or what's
out of
pushing
this.
forward. I will never forget. So in 2020, on November 3rd, my dad was kind of ill, but not really. He fell. And when he fell, his screw from his back surgery came out. 24 hours later, he was dead. He got septic and died. And then December 3rd, 2020, exactly 1 month apart to the day, my mom died.
Oh,
that was the hardest year. And I remember, having to tell everybody at work, hey, guess what? My dad died. And then a month later, go back and say, hey, my mom just died. My mom's dying. I got to go. And I remember coming back from that and feeling naked, like just emotionally naked, raw, broken. I didn't know how I was going to get through it. And I walk into work and I'm just thinking, how the hell am I going to help somebody today when I feel like I'm in my own shit? How the hell am I going to show up for anybody? Right? And then I'll never forget, this client of mine came up to me and he gave me 2 candy bars. And they were so meaningful because they were my mom's favorite candy bar and my dad's favorite candy bar. Now, that client didn't need to do that to me, right? Like at all. But that extra thought that they did that and the meaning behind what it did to me, and let me know like that they're still here, that, their spirit still lives on. Like if it hadn't been for that candy bar, I don't think I would have been able to do that group and show up for anybody. But someone showed up for me, so I was given the strength to show up for them.
Something so small.
Something so small, but so significant. You never know the impact you're going to live on somebody's life. It's like this starfish story. It's like, this kid was with his grandpa and I don't remember exactly how it goes, but they were at the ocean and there were tons of starfish and they had all came out of the water, and the kids started throwing the starfish back in there. And the grandpa's like, why are you doing that, kid? You're never going to be able to save them all. And he goes, hey, if I can just save one, that's enough. And we've got to keep that mindset and realizing everybody is important. We are all one and we're all equally important. It's creating that unity during grief of nobody's behind, nobody's in front of, and allowing yourself to have those people you can be raw with, be naked with, because you're going to need them.
And show grace for people. You see people that are mean or rough in public, and it's the person is so rude. You have no idea. No idea what people are going through. You just see somebody, that mean old man in the grocery store probably is alone. And maybe for the first time ever, without his wife or his spouse or whatever. You just don't know. That mom who's rushing through the store and cuts you off, no idea what she's dealing with her family, her kids, or anything. And I'm the first one that I need to remember that, because, it's just, you see somebody and that's their story. It's like, they're just rude, and
there's always a reason behind the behavior. That rudeness is going through it. There's a reason for them acting that way. People aren't just inherently bad.
Yeah.
At least I don't like to believe so.
And I think that there are a lot of people who put up that wall because they've been hurt and they just don't know how to love again or accept people again or bring people in, because once I bring these people in, they're just going to hurt me and go away. So I know we've talked about that with, relationships and things, and it's so hard to trust. And so it's easier just to be
alone.
Yeah.
Alone in your grief. It's easier. But at the same time, it's not. It's not easier, because suffering alone is much harder than suffering with people who are there for you for support.
Now, what if I'm truly alone? There really is. I've alienated everybody in my life. No one believes in me anymore. Nobody wants to be around me. I've pushed everybody away. What can I do? Who can I call?
So it depends on what you need in that moment, right? It's like, do I need mental support? Do I need a friend? Do I need God? Do I need some spirituality? It depends on what that need is in the moment. I think that for me, it's like going through my grief. The only way I got through it was spiritually. I had to create a place where I was okay to be alone, where I was okay if that I no longer have my mom to call. I'm an adult orphan now. I had to be okay with that. Did I like it? No. I hate it. I still hate it. But I had to create people who I can rely on now to carry on their legacy, people who I know that can be reliable for me and show up for me. It's, sometimes it's calling that old friend that you don't want to call. Sometimes it's calling your preacher. Sometimes it's going on a walk outside, finding the first person and just having a nonchalant conversation. But the most important person that we can show up for is ourselves.
And I know you want to talk about self-care and taking care of ourselves. I think this would be a good segue for that. If you're struggling with grief, if you think that there's someone that you should be checking on, you should be checking on them. And if you're struggling and you're really at the end of your rope, and especially if it's something that is that could be alcohol driven or abuse driven, definitely give our friends at Granite Mountain Behavioral Healthcare a call, and don't suffer alone. I mean, that's the best takeaway from this.
Absolutely. Know that people are here for you that can support you. You're not alone, even though you may feel it.
That's a great episode. Thank you so much, Madi. And thank you so much for tuning in to Power of the Mind at Granite Mountain Behavioral Healthcare.